don't get it, Brielle. Our husbands headed to the bathhouse, and here you are, sitting like nothing's going on. Isabel mused, perplexed. Brielle responded, her smile evident. Nothing's happened. They'll sweat it out and be back. Why are you getting so restless? The two women had become friends through their husbands and had enjoyed a close bond for 3 years. Each time their husbands whisked away for their bathhouse ritual, they would organize a small gathering for themselves. This tradition had been going on for over a year now. The men would indulge in steam and beer, while the ladies animatedly conversed over wine. It was a contented affair. The only hitch was that Brielle was always vexed by Isabel's concern about the bathhouse. I just can't help it. I keep thinking about other women lurking around them. I don't want my Jackson to find someone else, Isabel murmured anxiously. Brielle dismissed her claims, stating, "That's rubbish. They're simply relaxing with steam and beer. I highly doubt there are any women there." Isabel retorted, "Haven't you watched soap operas? What's stopping you from stopping him if you think he's having a good time with someone there?" "How can I stop him?" "I have to respect his wishes," Brielle responded earnestly. "If you truly respect him, trust him. Stop tormenting yourself. Hey, tell me about your plans for the seaside this year." Brielle attempted to change the topic successfully. For about 30 minutes, Isabel refrained from mentioning husbands and baths. However, her concerns resurfaced, and she sang her familiar tune yet again. I can't help it. I close my eyes, and all I see is him cozying up with some youthful beauty in the steam room. It pains me. What's with the steam room? When was the last time you were in a bathhouse? Brielle inquired curiously. I don't fancy steam rooms. The last time I set foot in a bathhouse was when I was around 7 years old. I disliked it so much that I never went back, Isabel confessed. Isabel, I don't think you grasp how our husbands unwind. I was thinking, why don't we join them at the bathhouse? Brielle proposed. Isabel exclaimed, "What? No, I don't want to." Brielle insisted, "No, without them. I know the perfect spot. I've been there with some friends before. It's clean, cozy, and even has a pool. I'm inviting you. Don't say no." Isabel hesitated, mulling over the potential expenses. It must be costly, she pondered. Brielle reassured her, "I'll foot the bill. Don't worry. We deserve to have fun too." "What about the children?" "The youngest one will take the lead, while the older ones will stay home on their own, as they are no longer little kids." Maybe we should contact Jasmine from the 19th apartment. Isabel and Brielle were blessed with 3 children. The youngest was a 3-year-old, and their elder sons were 5 and 7 years old. By some strange coincidence, it seemed like they managed to give birth every 2 years, even celebrating birthdays in the same month. Isabel pondered for a moment, but eventually agreed. An hour later, they arrived at a charming little house, where a beautiful bathhouse was located. Somehow, Isabel couldn't help but think that people would start popping up from all directions. But to their surprise, they were the only ones there. "Where is everybody?" she inquired. "Who are you expecting?" "It's just the 2 of us," Brielle replied with a smile. "Just the 2 of us? Is all of this our private space?" Isabel exclaimed, "For the next 3 hours. The bathhouse is already heated, so let's go and enjoy a steam," Brielle suggested. "Oh, I'm a bit concerned. Is it safe for you?" Isabel inquired. "No, not at all. It's actually quite healthy. Let's go," Brielle reassured her. Having gotten into their bathing suits, the women settled into the steam room. The hot air embraced their skin, causing a tingling sensation that Isabel couldn't help but find pleasurable. "Do you like it?" Brielle asked. "Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely fantastic, and the aroma is so delightful. Isabel responded, "It's lavender. I added some to the coals for a calming effect," Brielle explained. "I never expected it to be like this," Isabel confessed. "That's exactly why I invited you here," Brielle confessed. "Thank you," Isabel expressed, clearly relishing the experience. They remained seated for a few more moments, sensing that they were nearing a threshold of exhaustion, where their strength would dwindle to nothing. "Dash, would you fancy striking a pose with someone now?" inquired Brielle. Her friend replied with a smile, "I can barely catch my breath." Isabel laughed and added, "And your Jackson isn't up for it. You get what I mean. I finally understand why husbands subject themselves to the steam and torture of the baths every month. It's a whole different experience for us women." Brielle conceded, "You're absolutely right. I shouldn't have suggested it. Let's leave. I'm beyond exhausted." Catching her breath, she continued, "I think that's enough for our first time. We'll take a break and return later." Brielle then rose from the wooden bench. Draped in a towel, they exited the steam chamber. As the cool air caressed Isabel's skin, she exhaled a sigh of relief. "But that's not all," Brielle said cunningly. "Close your eyes. I've got a surprise for you." "I'm not a fan of surprises," Isabel remarked. "Trust me, you'll like it," Brielle assured her. Compliance was met as Isabel obediently shut her eyes. Taking her hand, Brielle guided her somewhere unknown. For reasons unbeknownst to Isabel, her friend seemed to believe that upon opening her eyes, she would discover a stripper or a similar spectacle, like a semi-clothed gentleman with sushi. Yet, before she could comprehend it all, a jolt resonated throughout her back, plunging her into frigid water. The sensation was indescribable, an initial horror that swiftly transformed into pure bliss. Isabel resurfaced from the water and heard Brielle splash as she dove in beside her. "Apologies, but I hadn't time to join you. You're quite the scaredy cat," her friend remarked with a smile. "Actually, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have willingly entered such a freezing abyss," Isabel replied, attempting to regulate her breath amidst the beautiful terror. "Do you regret it?" Brielle questioned. "It's an unbelievable sensation. One moment sweltering, the next glacial. You almost feel as if you're leaving your body behind." Grinning, Brielle responded, "That's the whole point." "All right, let's get out so we don't catch a cold. It's something one must get accustomed to," Isabel suggested. They climbed out of the pool and found themselves in a small chamber adorned with a table and cozy chairs. Isabel enveloped herself in a sheet and happily settled into one of the seats. "I could really go for a beer right now," she declared dreamily. "Consider it done," Brielle replied, retrieving 2 bottles of beer from the fridge, along with a plate of assorted appetizers. "Wow, it's like a fairy tale come true. Are you planning on steaming again?" Isabel inquired eagerly, longing to relive the entire experience. She was over the moon with everything going on, though it barely crossed her mind that their husbands were experiencing the same thing. Slowly, she began to realize they usually didn't do anything questionable at the bathhouse. Just getting steamed, chatting, enjoying each other's company, and taking a break from home life, plain and simple. The ladies had an amazing evening together, steaming, taking a dip in the pool, and sipping on some beer. Upon returning home, Isabel was still buzzing with excitement. "Brielle, aren't you scared of losing your Tristan?" she asked her friend. "Sometimes I think you don't love him at all." "That's nonsense. Of course I love him. I just don't see things the way you do," Brielle replied. "What do you mean?" "I'm confused," Isabel inquired, leaning in. "Well, the thing is, you worry so much about losing Jackson because you're afraid of what life would be like without him, Brielle explained. Obviously, he's my husband. It's only natural, Isabel insisted. No, it's not. Tristan is my husband too, but I'm not scared of losing him, Brielle countered. But why? That's what I'm trying to understand, Isabel persisted. I'll tell you, but promise you won't take it the wrong way, okay? Brielle said, looking Isabel in the eyes. Okay, I promise. I don't know what you could possibly say to offend me, Isabel assured her. The truth is, you fear losing Jackson because you wouldn't be able to manage on your own. You have 3 kids, and you'd lose your mind without your husband around. You don't have a job or any particular skills to fall back on. You live in his apartment, but before you two got married. You wouldn't last a month alone, don't you see? Not really. Are you implying that I am insignificant without him, or that I do not adore my spouse? Isabel inquired, a tinge of offense in her voice. No, you do love him, but your fear of losing him stems from a different reason. He is your all-encompassing provider, finances, affection, offspring, existence. You dread the thought of him finding another woman, as it would leave you with nothing, utterly alone, homeless, burdened with children, jobless, deprived of sustenance. Deep down, you are aware of this, which is why you torment both yourself and him, by the way. What do you mean, him too? Isabel sought clarification. You drive him to the brink of madness with your jealous nature. He is enjoying some relaxation in the bathhouse, yet you persistently call him every 5 minutes. I refrained from calling him today because you were indulging in the bathhouse yourself. Also, I confiscated your phone, Brielle chuckled. And before that, all you did was shout. Let a man have his freedom and trust him. Do you trust your Tristan that implicitly? Isabel inquired, her tone filled with unhappiness. She never anticipated the conversation to take this turn. I do. Furthermore, I know that even if I were to be alone, it would not devastate me. Of course, I would experience a temporary sorrow, for I too love him. Yet once the storm of emotions subsides, I would gather myself and continue onward. In fact, not much would change in my life. Everything would remain as it is. I am unafraid of solitude. Certainly, you only have 1 daughter, her friend reproached, tinting her words with a hint of criticism. Indeed, I have 1 daughter, as I understood from the very beginning the challenges of raising 2 or 3 children in today's world. It entails a great deal of hardship. Admit it, nobody coerced you into having 3. It is simply that my Jackson adores children, Isabel persisted. Your Jackson enjoys creating children, not necessarily the children themselves. Of course, he now loves the children too, but I am almost certain that he would have been content with 2. Deciding whether or not to have a baby is solely a woman's prerogative. And listen, you're not alone in this dilemma. Many people incessantly give birth, firmly believing that their husbands will stick around and be there for them forever. However, there are tales of different outcomes, which is why I find myself filled with trepidation. Doesn't that fear taint your entire existence? Perhaps it does, but what can I do? It's not like I possess the ability to turn back time and stop at my firstborn like you did. No, you can't. And honestly, I don't think you even want to. I mean, you love each and every one of your children. It's just that at this moment, you need to build upon the foundation you have. Do you desire to overcome the fear of losing your husband? I absolutely do. Well then, get off your backside and take some action. Your Scarlett is a capable young girl, 3 years of age. Enroll the little one in daycare and go back to work. Some extra money in the family won't hurt. It can benefit both you and the children. If you feel like you are capable of accomplishing something on your own, the fear will gradually dissipate. But will I be able to handle work? Isabel asked hesitantly. And who will take care of the kids? Who will cook, clean, and do the laundry? Do you honestly believe that nobody cooks, cleans, or does laundry at home? That's not what I was implying, Isabel responded. Of course not. I may not be baking pies twice a week or buying bread from the store, but we certainly don't go hungry. Everything can be balanced. Plus, children should be raised to be self-sufficient, not spoiled until they get married. It's more convenient for you this way. Do you admit there's some comfort in being a housewife? Brielle posed the question with a serene expression. Perhaps I do enjoy managing the household chores. Is there an issue with that? No issue at all, only that you seem to envy Jackson to an extreme and end up trying to monitor his every move, or at least attempting to. It's somewhat of an endless loop. True enough, yet I genuinely desire the best for you. You must understand that life throws curveballs when least expected. Jackson shouldn't be your everything. It's healthy to cherish someone, but not to the extent of dependency. Any form of dependency eats away at you slowly. But working isn't something I'm keen on. Join the club. Trust me, nobody relishes the thought of dragging themselves out of bed each morning to head to work. Yet that's the nature of life. So is there no alternative? I'm not sure. Perhaps there might be another way, but it remains unseen to me. Remember, we are no longer living in the Dark Ages, where women were confined mostly to childbearing and had little rights, predominantly just obligations. It's crucial to recognize and adapt to these change times. The taxi rolled to a stop in front of Isabel's residence, and she stepped out. Thank you for a splendid night, she expressed warmly to her companion. Let's definitely do this again. Absolutely, Isabel concurred with a nod. After arriving home, she released Jasmine and tucked the kids into their beds, yet her thoughts lingered on her earlier exchange with Brielle. Settled at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, she was ruminating when her husband walked in, content, somewhat weary, and sporting a slight flush. Hey, how was your sauna? She inquired cheerfully. Wonderful. And your evening? Jackson replied, eyeing her curiously. He had spent the night frequently checking his phone, yet she hadn't given him a call. Was everything okay? You'll never guess. I ended up at the sauna too. What? A sauna? Did you enjoy it? He was visibly surprised by her response. I really did. It was unlike anything I expected, but the experience was fantastic. And which one did you go to? Krasnaya. Yes, that place is a blast, though it does hit the wallet a bit. Brielle covered for me this time. Lucky you. He chuckled. Hey, since you liked it so much, maybe next time we could all go as a family. Like all of us together. Isabel responded, taken aback. She hadn't considered it a possibility. Jackson had suggested she join him ages ago, but she had always said no. Perhaps that had been a mistake. Sure, we'll bring the kids along too. It'll be beneficial for them as well. Plus, they can have a swim in the pool. For what reason? That would be marvelous, she uttered with a wistful grin. Darling, aren't you feeling unwell? Give me a moment, her husband inquired. No, I'm perfectly fine. Why do you ask? You haven't called me even once today, Isabel giggled. Soki noticed. Well, it hasn't been easy for her. I exhausted you long ago, but I'm getting used to it. I suppose you'll have to get used to it too. By the way, I've been contemplating. It's probably time for me to start working. Jackson didn't anticipate that, and that's how their day took a different turn. Many revelations came to light. Why all of a sudden? Well, I don't know. You never know, tomorrow I might perish or you might leave, and then I'll be all alone. Her husband had a knack for making her crack up. She just couldn't resist. Where are these thoughts creeping into your mind? I certainly have no intention of dying, and I have no intention of leaving you either. Have you ever pondered on that? I did. I didn't. Who knows where we'll be 5 years from now? Brielle's got a point. We should prepare for any scenario. Or do you object to the idea of me working? Isabel posed the question with a glimmer of hope in her voice. No way, I'm all for it. If you get antsy, I'll scrounge up something for you to do. Just promise you won't regret it later, all right? He quipped with a wink. Isabel's heart sunk a little. Jackson wasn't opposed. In truth, hanging on to her role as just a mom had probably worn out its welcome. It was both right and respectable to acknowledge this reality. After all, one cannot solely toil for family's sake without seeking personal fulfillment. I promise. But that bath we talked about, I haven't forgotten. Next time, it's a family affair. How about next weekend? Her husband proposed with a bright smile, sealing his suggestion with a kiss on her cheek. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate your support. Catch you on the flip side.